We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts and pay attention in Discord so you know when we're going live and if the content works for you. The feedback form below. The boss man loves that. Hook me up. Help me out. We appreciate any support you can give us. That actually helps Kaizen bring in new people. So go check that out. Okay, we have Huber's Ranch, Peter, good morning. Miguel, Mr. Relentless, love that. Jelster, another false down move. You know what? It's just gymnastics into the Fed. That's all. Everybody assigns a lot of meaning to price action because people want to know why it's down. We'll talk about it. But we should not be afraid into the Fed. We shouldn't be. SGSG, Mr. Relentless, noting that it is just pre-Powell FUD. Neff, Horace, Valdotes, Arendam, F. Morales, Leo, Brandon. What's up? All right. People may still be filing in here, but we're going to hit news anyway. All right, let's go. So, Warren Buffett is selling. So that may have something to do with the fact that he's 100 years old or in the fact that, he's really not sticking around for this thing to get smashed or uncertain. Now, there are additional points to add to this. Obviously, the biggest tactical risk to crypto is that stocks go down another 10%, right? In other words, beware the failed rally in stocks. If stocks go up and they fail, then you're going to have additional selling. Okay, that said, if the Federal Reserve wants to avoid that, they can. Bringing the stock market down could pretty much end inflation, in my opinion, because, when the stock market goes down, people pull back on spending. People can't borrow money against stocks as easily to go spend. But it is an election year, and the Fed is a hyper-political organization. We should not kid ourselves about that. All that said, depending on the Fed to save the stock market is not what stock market investors do. And I don't think there's an investment out there worth anything outside of crypto, outside of an alternative form of money, and you're going to see a decoupling. Now, is a 100-year-old guy going to turn around and buy Bitcoin? Well, probably not. But if you ever did, Bitcoin would probably go up 10% that day. Because, it's funny because he's hated it for so long and he's going to have to get over it, I think. Okay, so risky bets on U.S. office buildings becoming a debacle. Okay, so this commercial real estate problem has been known for a long time and nothing has happened. So sometimes the market can just bore you out of ideas, trades, into thinking that they don't exist, or the fact that the Fed is just willing to give an unlimited amount of emergency loans to banks means that they can kick the can down the road on this commercial real estate problem. One thing I'm doing lately is questioning whether legacy problems get resolved by legacy declines like they have in the past, or whether they result in legacy markets kind of becoming zombie markets and not moving much at all. In other words, they don't go down because they're Fed supported, but they don't go up because there are obviously problems. So where does all the world's money go? Where does it go? Like, if you're looking for a return on something useful, where are you going? Apple, Nvidia, real estate, junk bonds. What happens if that stuff after like all this go years just doesn't do anything? It goes into like winter, right? Goes into winter. Like, They've never heard of winter in stocks. Well, what happens if they have winter in stocks? And what happens if all the money winds up in crypto? Okay, so our friends, the Germans who have been selling Bitcoin, have an uptick in inflation and a downtick in economic growth. So Germany has rising inflation and lower GDP. Okay. Well, that's great. Inflation is not like out of control, but we have to really ask ourselves, this government just sold Bitcoin with these numbers? And just in case, you can't get enough of whatever comedy is on the tape about the election is, they're now like editing search functions and paying social media influencers to shill things like candidates. I'm not anticipating that working, but I am anticipating a lot of comedy and serious censorship, frankly, if they can't mount decent numbers, particularly since it's a three-way race, right? In other words, if the guy in third place has more polling and better votes than she does, what do they do? Like, how do they start reacting? They're already acting weird now. What are they going to do? Okay, well, I can tell you this. Whatever they do will be dollar negative. Because, if you look at like what's going on in Venezuela, okay, I think we're going to wind up avoiding that scenario where we don't know who won the election and everyone's running around the streets. We're going to avoid that through crypto, as long as we know who's running the country. Right? There's no reason to be divided. There's no reason to fall for the negative news flow. There isn't. I mean, it's on the tape every day. I mean, are you tired of it yet? I am. So the best way to do this, the best way to handle it is to be bullish crypto. And then, of course, this guy, I used to think this guy was like just a market guy. And now I realize that he works for NBC. So, he's going to toe the line on certain things. So if Trump likes Bitcoin, then he doesn't. And of course, since inverse Kramer is a very popular thing where you go in the opposite direction of what he thinks, like, honestly, I don't always go for this, but this is actually pretty bullish. It really is. Right. Okay. So crypto now has the #1 super PAC. That means crypto has the largest entity making political donations as of now. So good luck with this if you're against crypto. Also, this is a scary thought with Gensler, because this PAC is going to hand out money to all kinds of politicians to make sure that Gensler and all his lawsuits go away. This is the point about crypto that people are not focusing on. Like Gensler and, the people who appoint people at the SEC, with a super PAC like this, Gensler is done. And I don't think that's fully priced into crypto. The fact that people like it is maybe, but again, it doesn't make any sense to think that there's going to be an SEC attacking crypto next administration, especially with, Congress being funded by these super PACs. Okay, just in case you can't, you can't, governments can't screw up anymore. California raised the minimum wage to $20, and everyone in the fast food industry gets laid off. Now, I'm sure there's a part of you and there's a part of me that, wants people who have to do these type of jobs, get something close to a living wage, particularly in a state like California where housing is insane. So, you don't begrudge the little guy. But the simple fact of the matter is a lot of businesses can't operate with full staff if you're at that wage. And this is in the economics textbook. right? It is. And the point for crypto investors is governments do not understand economics. They don't. And one of the reasons why crypto is going to go up is because crypto is going to teach them economics. Like you can't act like this with the dollar. You can't act like this with the treasury bond market. You can't have stocks at wild valuations, right? That's not necessarily because of the government, but we know the Fed supports the market. The Fed holds everything up. And if you have an environment like that, and then you interject this form of like, let's make everyone equal via regulation, AKA Marxism. I don't mean that necessarily a negative way, but it is a form of economics where governments redistribute wealth, where governments tell people what to do. Now, governments are always wrong. Newsom is always wrong. They're wrong. As much as we want to see people get better or have a better life, having the government force people to do that is never the answer. And at the end of the day, I notice it's just like a little $20 minimum wage thing, but these things are all going to add up. And then one day everyone's going to hit the green button all at the same time because governments have made mistakes and governments may rectify those mistakes by buying crypto or letting crypto fly. Seriously. Now, in a show of bad faith, after two candidates reveal that not only do they want to keep the Bitcoin that the government has, but they actually want to buy more. The government actually just decided to say F you and move part of their 2 billion Bitcoin around just as a way of saying to hell with you, right? Even Novogratz noted that this little stunt where they just moved the Bitcoin around was in bad faith. And it is, but that's okay because it's just one more reason why these people need to go away, one, and two, crypto is going to go up because of every stupid thing these people have done regarding government spending. Okay, so this is also a reminder, and people want to know why the market's down. That seems to be a perpetual question. So there have been a lot of promises made about what the government's going to do with crypto once the election is over, right? Like we're going to buy Bitcoin, we're going to make it a strategic asset. And the thing about, I think it's less of a concern with Trump because he kind of doesn't care. But there are mechanisms inside the Fed and the Treasury that could resist what he wants. And the same is true with Kennedy. Although if Kennedy was president, I think he would force certain issues harder than Trump would, believe it or not. But it's not automatic. It's not, right? And plus, November and January when these guys take over, is a long way away. There are a lot of reasons to buy crypto. The biggest reason to buy crypto is because Bitcoin is going to be a reserve asset for corporations and governments, whether we buy it immediately or not. Like no one is going to sit around and wait to buy Bitcoin and wait for the U.S. Treasury to come in and ape in and not care what they pay, which could be the same thing with governments in general. Like how can a hedge fund sit around and not be long? Could there be hurdles in implementing this? Yes. And everyone sells at 70K. And this is what Yahoo Finance writes. And if you took all these little articles and you decorated your wall and then you sat around and looked at them when Bitcoin went to 100K, you'd be like, wow, what ridiculous nonsense. Ridiculous nonsense, right? So, now the media is now writing that, Trump is great. Now Trump is not great. They have to write something, right? Harris urged by donors to speak at crypto conference. Okay. Well, the thing is they can't admit that they're wrong. Like I talked about this yesterday. All she has to do is get rid of Gensler. She didn't have to go to a conference. She has to get rid of Gensler, right? She would probably pick up some people just through that. And she could run around and say, hey, I got rid of Gensler. Not going to do it. Not going to do it because they have some kind of agenda, right? I'm kind of a big fan of Soros as like the source of the agenda, but think about it. The debate was 30 days ago, and they came up with reasons to put negative news on the tape every day for 30 days, including taking a shot at, what I call a 75-year-old guy in broad daylight. They put that together for 30 days. And I don't know how much more they got, but it's pretty impressive to be able to put news flow like that together for 30 days. Now, of course, now that Harris is running, they'll stop, I think. The simple fact of the matter is, whoever wants you to feel bad, they can go get bent, because we're going to hit the green button, and we're going to hit the green button hard. And this group is very into Coinbase alts. And these alts, as in the future of finance, they're just going to go up. It's just really a question of finding tactical chart points, which we will do at some point today. Okay, if you're sick of listening to how Grayscale is selling, you have company. I think the issue is, and we'll look at the chart, the issue is Grayscale buying Zcash. And I like these guys from Bernstein because they're kind of perma bulls with a twist. It's usually a good analytical slant. There's a $20 billion hardware opportunity if Trump wants every Bitcoin made in the USA. Who knows, right? I mean, if he wants it done here, that's very Trump, right? Trump could be ridiculously bullish for mining stocks, which are getting hammered, right? Everyone's like, the hedge funds got squeezed out of them, and now they're trying to reassert themselves. Okay, well, let it happen in mining stocks, and we'll see you after the stock market is done going down, whether or not those things turn around. You may get really discounted prices for Bitcoin miners by the time it's over. SEC drops Solana from its whatever naughty list. Remember when SEC came out and said, oh, every altcoin is a security, and everything went down like 8%? This is what I'm talking about, right? In other words, who takes these guys seriously anymore? Nobody. Nobody takes these guys seriously anymore. And it does matter, right? Now, BlackRock is basically saying that, we can't do the Solana ETF, right? They're not going to do the Solana ETF because they don't think Wall Street can handle it. That's fine, right? Kathy Wood wants the Solana ETF, and I think they're going to buy Solana, right? I think Van Eck wants the Solana ETF, and they're going to buy Solana. Okay. BlackRock probably can't, BlackRock, if they own the Bitcoin ETF, they probably don't want two competitors. It's okay. Because you know what? Grayscale is going to have these things. Grayscale had GBTC for years. If no one else wants to do Solana, they'll do Solana. They're doing Zcash, and they have an AI product that has Near. Both altcoins that have been very perky lately. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people who think ETH is dead and Solana is just going to take over. I can see how you would think that, but I also think just simply that it's really hard to have a cycle without ETH. I don't think you can do everything on Solana. You can't do all of Web3 on Solana. I don't think you can do it. But you could do all of Web3 on Solana and Ethereum together. Or, Ethereum, Polkadot, and Solana, or something cross-chain. It's important to remember that ETH hasn't gone anywhere, and we'll look at this in the PowerPoint. ETH hasn't gone anywhere in quite some time, right? Because, now it's a time of year where we can start looking at monthly charts, as the Fed does its thing at the end of the month. Okay, now just as a reminder, keeping sort of the want about it to a minimum, all right? Actually, we're going to go to PowerPoint because I have it in there. The Federal Reserve has a dual mandate. Their mandate is to at least maintain some form of employment, right? In other words, not have the labor market fall out of bed while simultaneously controlling inflation. Okay. So again, we'll talk about it. So Brandon in here, BCS Akira, Katya is here. Leo, welcome. Okay. So let's go to PowerPoint. Okay. So unemployment is ticking up. Larger corporate layoffs are undoubtedly coming if there's another wave down in stocks, right? They have no way, if they can't grow earnings, they have to cut costs. And if the Fed leaves rates where it is, this could be an excuse for layoff announcements, right? Like if they don't go full dovish today or tomorrow, then you could see layoff announcements using Fed not cutting as cover. So the Fed has to balance their dual mandate between controlling inflation and supporting employment. And then there's the other idea of Bitcoin dipping after hitting 70K isn't as a big deal as it seems. It isn't. Okay. The key takeaway is that Bitcoin, really hasn't really backed off despite a wobbly stock market and a Fed meeting. And honestly, do you remember whatever was in the press about Bitcoin going through 40, 50, and 60K? Like Bitcoin went there and it was like, okay, let's sit here for a while. And then it just goes through. Like these big even numbers like 10K, maybe 20K because it was the 2017 high, and 100K, they matter. But all these other numbers in the middle, they're just something for Cointelegraph to write about. The demand for these things is way higher than the supply. Okay, one of the biggest things that's holding back crypto is that the dollar is sitting on a big monthly support level. Kind of hate that, but it's true. It's like, the dollar has been sitting on support since the dollar topped 2 years ago in January, or in the early spring of 2023. The dollar has just sat here and gone nowhere. Now, Lux Algo is put out the sell signal here, and we're just kind of all waiting. If they go full dovish, it represents an opportunity for the dollar to go lower and for gold and silver to go higher. Okay, just as a reminder, S&P monthly, this is essentially, up only since, really September of last year, and honestly up only since September of 2022. So, this has gone straight up with no real big dips. Like there were small dips for a couple of months, but this isn't going to attract any new money. Neither is this. This is NASDAQ, right? Now, this is NASDAQ overall, not just NASDAQ 100. And it's probably harder to see here, but this 18K level from Lux Algo was kind of like about as stretched out as you can get. And this little X here was the top last month, right? And it's the same thing on S&P. This month is the top. So, yeah, this can go down, right? Yeah, that can affect crypto. So you could have 15% fluctuations in an altcoin in the middle of August. And you know what? Unless you're on leverage trading, so what? So what? Like, how many of these scare trades are they going to put us through? And how long do they last? A day, a week, a month? 30 days of bearish consecutive news flow. And if you look at the monthly charts, it's like nothing ever happened. Like, 10% down move in Solana. Solana on a monthly chart is still sitting at this key DeMark level, which is really, it's kind of amazing how much action has occurred around this big monthly level on the Solana monthly DeMark chart. These support points and resistance points are drawn automatically as a part of this quantitative system that puts these numbers on that helps me figure out whether or not it's a top, a bottom, a trend, a pause, whatever. Simple fact of the matter is, 2 months ago, you should have had a pause in Solana, which you did. And now Solana's knocking on the door of a breakout. Solana's tried to break out before. And as long as Solana just continues to sit there, it's like there's a ceiling and Solana's just there going like this. And eventually they're going to push through the ceiling because, Solana's not going away. And I know there's a tendency to look at Solana like this and be like, oh, it's up. Oh, it's down today. Oh, it's up. It's down today. But when you zoom it out, we're knocking on the door of a monster breakout. Ethereum. Oh my God. I know everyone's tired of hearing me saying it, but this, I kind of made my way in the world by telling everybody to get to the chopper and get out when there was this 13 signal, because you could tell that there was something wrong in the crypto ecosystem. And then boom. And you know what? Nothing has changed. We're still sitting here. Like we've reset ETH to the pre-FTX level and nothing has happened. Apparently there's no upside in ETH. There's nothing to do or say. Crazy, right? ETH can benefit from the dollar lower and gold and silver higher. And I can't believe no one thinks that's going to happen. And I also can't believe nobody thinks that people are going to come into ETH DeFi and go crazy. Because once people start getting involved heavily in crypto at the corporate and government level, they're going to go looking for yield. And Aave, like Aave and DeFi protocols, that they've been basically quietly up only for like 4 days and no one notices. No one notices. Okay, Bitcoin on a monthly basis. So, you know, this is doing everything right, right? You break above resistance on a monthly chart at 60K. You sit on top of that for 4 months. Then, you know, you take it down below there just to scare everybody. And then you bring it straight back to give you a green month after this ridiculous wick. And, you know, what more can you ask for in terms of a consolidation to move massively higher? Like, why would you sell any Coinbase alt with this going on? Unless you were stopping out or reallocating capital or whatever. I mean, yeah, could you look at a 20% fluctuation? Yeah, but okay, you had fluctuations here, and what did that do? Nothing. Nothing. It's a classic case of looking at a chart and going, okay, 4 months of FUD, and what happened? Nothing. So once we get over ourselves on the FUD, what's going to happen? Now, just in case you think you missed it in Zcash, so we can start talking about Zcash because, you know, Snowden brought up privacy. And, you know, Zcash used to trade for 100 and something bucks before FTX. Grayscale's buying Zcash. Zcash bottomed at 15 and then went to 30. Then you look at this chart, you can't even tell that it was that big of a move. You got a massive monthly 13 bottom going on in Zcash. Okay. This is at least the one traded on Huobi. And have you really missed anything here? No. Now, the market does have a problem when Zcash usually outperforms. So when Zcash, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin outperform, then the market goes down or does nothing. That is a very real pattern. We proved that yesterday. So can we break the Zcash curse? Can Bitcoin hold itself together over the next 10 days and not fall apart? And the same thing with Zcash. And if that's true, then something different is happening than normally happens. And this 13 bottom seems unbelievably relevant to me, not just for Zcash, but for Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and frankly, all of altcoins. Because Snowden was right. It's like, you know, Apple is going to put Bitcoin and the Lightning Network on its new phone. And that's great. That's great. Right? But Snowden's like, you know, you don't have any transactional privacy that way, which of course is why Apple is okay with doing it. You know, these things have to come to the forefront at some point. I mean, are you really going to do it every transaction going forward? I mean, if they can turn off search engine things, what else can they do? Right? You have to start using your imagination on this. I mean, this is like a one-off. They came up with this for 30 straight days. And look at this thing. This goes for everything. This goes for Propy. This goes for any finance mechanism outside of the legacy system. Because you might as well call the legacy system government control, right? I mean, you know, what is it that they can't do? They can pick up the phone and pick up the phone and tell Google and Facebook to shut stuff off, even if it's only for a day. Yeah, shut this off. Okay. Like, where'd they get this idea from? Somebody at Google says, like, yeah, let's turn this off today. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds good. Morning meeting at Google. Hey, what are we shutting off today? Oh, let's shut off this. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Let's have our you know, incredibly expensive computer algorithm programmers spend tons of time shutting stuff off just because, you know, it's fun. No, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Okay. So let's try to get into some live TA here. Okay. James, you're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. BCS is here. Welcome. Okay. Let's try to get into some live TA. Market really doesn't want to move that much, and I'm kind of okay with that, believe it or not. Okay, so now I'm going to the other end of the spectrum, and we're going to start looking at tactical charts. So this is an 89-minute chart of Propy, right? Or Pro, as I call it. Now, Pro is coming into a massive support zone from the spike up in late July. So, not sharing screen. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, Propy is coming into these are 89-minute charts. I'm just trying to look at these things at a tactical level. Okay. Now, it didn't pay to panic in Pro down here, and I would imagine it doesn't pay to panic here either. Now, if they wash it out and stop everyone out below this low, you have to ask yourself, can you tolerate that? If you can, stay in the trade. If you can't, adjust your position. But I'm very willing to stay in rather than get out. Matter of fact, I'm all about getting in if they give you some kind of dip. Okay, Arrow, interesting sideways price action. I like sideways price action. I like price action in a square. Okay, Arrow is sitting on the 38% retracement of its recent up move. I'm good with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were points this year, people who watched the show where, I was not willing to risk losing money in these altcoins. Now I'm like, well, you know what? You got to be in it to win it. And this thing turns around. This thing could turn around hard. XRP. I did something on my YouTube channel about, I use this Lux Algo stuff and Fibonacci circles to talk about, the bear trap that occurred in XRP down here. You got an 89-minute chart, and then, this can build momentum because the pattern that's occurred recently is that XRP or anything will start breaking out above prior resistance, and then Lux Algo comes in with this yellow bar and inserts a floor. It inserts a floor. So everybody wants to get all bearish on XRP. Why? I think everybody already gave up on it, and that could be a square consolidation. Again, these are just short-term charts. But if XRP is coming out of a regulatory problem, if XRP supply problem is not a problem, if XRP supply is going to get reduced or there's going to be some kind of settlement or whatever, everyone gave up on this. This was a retail trap. Everybody got caught in this, right? They all had to sit in this and watch Solana go from 30 to 200. Just drove them nuts, right? YouTube influencers pulled them in, said it was going to be the coin for the next cycle, and then dropped them, as in retail. This could come back. So could Cardano and all of these YouTube coins because people packed it in. And Polkadot wasn't a YouTube coin, and they packed it in on that too, right? I don't know that it's a good idea to just give up on some of these altcoins. As a matter of fact, I know it's not. It's not. Okay. So DGen at a tactical level. Okay. Again, this feels like more giving up. If you look at this on a tactical level, okay, unless there's something fundamentally wrong with this, at a tactical level, you have a Lux Algo 5-wave signal. You have a take profit level from short selling at 0.05. And you have another green triangle down here for a tactical bottom in DGen. In other words, people are always asking hey, when should I move in? They just retested the low. Nothing is happening in the market, and they just completely smacked this. So unless there's something wrong with it, there's something wrong with the project, which I can't see on charts, why is everyone selling? Why is everyone bailing in front of the Fed? Everyone bails in front of the Fed. And then everybody wakes up and go, why did I do that? Why did you do that? Right? Let's find Arkham. Yeah, I mean, they love selling this too. But again, this is very tactical. This is an 89-minute chart. They're selling this stuff into support. You know what I'm saying? Now is the time to start rearranging your book bullish, in my opinion, right? You start rearranging your book bullish, right? And if you get hurt, then at least you got hurt trying. I know that's ridiculous because we're talking about money, but at the end of the day, this is about, do you want to change your life? Do you want to change your life? The good news about all the FUD in legacy is that it's the most bullish thing in the whole world for crypto. It is. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget about the feedback form, and don't forget you can put requests in the economics chat room. I will see you tomorrow.